Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to World of Tanks Blitz. We're here going to be doing a garage review on this thing, the M4/FL10, a new Tier 7 Hybrid Nation medium tank that's just now gone into the game rather, and it's a very good tank, I'll say that much. It is an auto-loading tank, as you could probably tell by the oscillating turret of the French style on top of the Sherman chassis. But yeah, it is a auto-loading tank, but not in the sense that we've seen it before in Blitz. This is in fact an autoloader in the same way as the Italian tanks are in World of Tanks PC, in the fact that it's not a pure autoloader. It's sort of like a hybrid autoloader slash regular single shot gun. Because, for example, the Gravedigger is a pure autoloader. It's got 6 shells in the magazine, and when you're out of 6 shells you have to reload for the whole 11.25 seconds. And so we're all very familiar with those kind of autoloaders because they've been in the game for a while now. We've got, the regular 6, 4, 2, 3, whatever shells in the magazine, and then a big reload time. This thing is slightly different, and I'll get to the gun in a minute to show just how different it is. As you can see, it's also got a special icon there. But we'll start off with 1,325 HP, which is not too bad for a Tier 7 medium. The only other thing that I've got for a Tier 7 medium is this thing, and this thing's got 1,150 without the improved assembly. I don't have any other mediums actually at this tier. Oh no, I do. I have the Panther. The Panther's got 1,300. Nope, 1,270 without improved improved assembly. With improved assembly goes up to 1,350. So yeah, 1,325, which means that this thing's got about 1,200 HP basic, which is not too bad. It's a decent enough amount of HP. As for the armor, however, turret 76-30-20, hull 76-40-40. Yeah, I knew when I was getting this tank it was not going to be very well armoured, because after all it is just a Sherman, and as nice as Shermans are to look at, especially this design of Sherman, which has got the flat sides and the funny little bulge things here which look cool, as much as it looks nice, it's not going to be very well armoured. Nor is the turret, as we can see. Indeed, it is pretty much the same sort of turret as this, the 1375, albeit with better armour. What does the 1390 have for its turret? 40-20-20. Yeah, so it's a slightly better armoured version of the French oscillating turrets, but it's still nowhere near as good. Especially not with 40 side armour and 76 front. For the hull, you can't side scrape, you can't front scrape, you can't bounce shots. The only shots you're going to be bouncing are of very low autoloaders. For example, in the gameplay that I have, that would be things like, where's the MT25, I think, is probably the only thing you'll bounce at range. Wherever it is, and that's a Tier 6 gun. Tier 5 gun on a Tier 6 tank, rather, and that's got 130 average pen. So, yeah, the only thing that you'll be bouncing is that at range, but otherwise you're bouncing nothing with this kind of armour. It's really not very good. View range is decent enough, however, 286.5 with coated optics, 15% chance of fire and impact, yeah, those usual things. So yeah, there's how it is. So far we can tell it's not very well armoured, and that it's got a decent enough hit point pool. 31 average kilometers per hour top speed, 16.7 power to weight ratio, which is not too bad. It's got a decent enough power to weight. Average speed is also pretty good. You can sort of wolf pack with most of the others. Very good hull and turret reverse, however, 49.07 turret and 56 straight hull reverse degrees per second, which makes it very mobile, very maneuverable. There you go. So yeah, it's a very manoeuvrable kind of tank, which is very nice to see. It's what else we got here? 472.5 engine power, which is nothing too spectacular. There it is, the GMS 6046B engine, whatever that means. So yeah, fairly mobile. Fairly mobile. It's your sort of standard enough American mid-tier, mid to mid-upper tier medium tank. Yeah, not very well armoured, but it's got decent enough stats to make it a decent enough medium tank to add to the roster. But then we come to the gun, and the gun is the interesting part of this, because the gun is, like I said, an Italian style gun, which has got 3.5 second aim time, which is very good. It's got 0.33 dispersion, which is very accurate. It's a rather accurate gun, and it's very nice to have. With just over 2,000 DPM, shell reload time, which I think is probably mean time. Reload time for it is 1.33 seconds, and then we've got auto reload time. So what that means is that you have got 3 shells in the magazine, and depending on how many shells you have in the magazine, or how many shells you've fired in the magazine, is how long it will determine the reload time. If you have fired 3 shells in the magazine, the first shell will be reloaded in 3.28 seconds, the second shell will be reloaded in 3.75 seconds, and the final shell will be reloaded in 4.22 seconds. So yeah, that's how that works. Basically, the more shells you fired, the quicker it is to load the first shot, but then the slower it is to reload the subsequent shots. So it sort of averages it all out. But it is a very useful mechanic to have, as I found out in the second game that I played in this tank, where it saved me and managed to let me kill 3 tanks in a short amount of time, which in a regular autoloader would have been difficult, as it would have been in a regular single shot gun. So it is useful in situations, and it is the advantage over the two in certain situations. Of course, they all have got pros and cons. Autoloaders have, of course, got the pro of doing a lot of damage in a short space of time, but with a long reload. Single shell guns are sort of your standard. You do the 1 shot, 1 damage with the reload. And then these kind of guns are the hybrid. You've got the continuous fire output of a regular gun, but you've also got then you've also got elements of the autoloader. So it's a more sort of hybrid gun. But yeah, so that's the basics of that. As for average pen, 144 with average with AP shells, which are pretty good. Yeah, it's enough to get you through medium tanks, some tank destroyers, pretty much all the light tanks, and some of the heavy tanks as well, especially on the sides. With 202. Average pen with APCR, 38 with HE. Yeah, it's a 75mm, so 160 average damage with AP, 135 with APCR, and 175 with high explosive. So you have got the standard average damage. But the bad point of this is the turret, because it is the French oscillating turret, and then I would have to say, notorious for not having very good gun depression or elevation angles. Indeed, 8 degrees of gun elevation and 6 degrees of gun depression, which is very annoying, as you will see in the gameplay. Yeah, it can't do ridgeline fighting, and nor can it shoot at things higher than it. So you've got to be kind of on a level playing field, on a flat plane, or on a hill facing downwards, to shoot at anything that isn't on the same elevation as you, pretty much. And that is that's a big turn-off probably for some people, because gun depression is a very important thing to have for having a smooth, continuous battle going on. So for some people that will be a turn-off, because some people don't like the French tanks and won't play the French tanks because they don't have gun depression. And yeah, I can understand that. And this thing will be no different. It is a hybrid tank with a hybrid type gun, but it has got the French problem of not surrendering all the time. Sorry, France. But also no gun depression. And yeah, the big bulge sticking out the back of the turret. Yeah, no gun elevation either, because that thing clangs into the bottom of the tank. So yeah, that's the basic stats of it. It's a good tank, don't get me wrong. The gun is very nice on this tank. The mobility is also pretty good as well. It's just that you can't get hit by anything, but then in what medium tank is that not the case, other than like E50s and E50Ms. But yeah, it is a good tank, I will say that much, for the basic stats. As for consumables, standard repair, first aid, fire, then you've got engine power boost for 20% to engine power for 15 seconds, and you've got the multi-purpose, which is those 3 rolled into one, but there is no adrenaline. You can't use adrenaline on this tank, and for people who don't know, adrenaline is this consumable, which gives you 20% to load speed and 10% chance of damaging enemy vehicle modules for 15 seconds, but that's only applicable on tanks like this, which are single-shot guns. On tanks that are autoloaders, such as the Gravedigger, it's not applicable, and the same is true to the M4 FL10, because this is a hybrid autoloader, so autoloading clues in the name. Yeah, it doesn't have that consumable. So, I mean, it does cut down on what choices you have to make, I suppose. And then as for provisions, you've got your standard and improved fuel for 3 and 10% respectively to engine power and turret traverse. Then you've got tinned food and field rations, 3 and 10% respectively to crew mastery, only for the Hybrid Nation. This is the Hybrid Nation's special crew consumable. And then you've got your protective kit, which is 15% protection crew from injuries, 10% speed and module repair, 20% fire protection, and 10% damage to 10% ammo and fuel tank durability. There you go. So yeah, there's that. Appearance, I accidentally clicked on this tab, but hey, you could be American and have loads of stars all over you. How about that? Although it is a football camo, but I just see the stars and I think America. But yeah, it is of course a football camo. So you've got that. As for ammo, you do have 48 rounds of ammo, and you can burn through them if you're continuously firing after loading those 3 shells. But I mean, yeah, it's enough rounds. You can go ahead and change them up as you want. So yeah, load some HE, some AP, and some APCR. But yeah, you shouldn't really need to worry about ammo, but I would say just keep an eye on it, because that is a rather low ammo count for an autoloader, which will burn through shells quite quickly. As for equipment, improved vents is going to be is probably going to be what you want for this tank, because calibrated shells, you don't really need it. You'll go up to past the 150 mark for pen, which is nice, but I think the overall general buffs to everything, every stat, so your damage, your DPM, your reload time, your dispersion, your top speed, your traverse, and everything is more beneficial to the slightly better penetration of calibrated shells. And then improved modules for the extra fuel tank, track and ammo rack durability, because you are, medium tank, get detract, you're kind of dead. So yeah, I'd say that. As for your specialization, tier 1, it is a toss-up, I think, because this tank can do well as a sniper, provided that you're not having to shoot at things lower or higher than you. Because it does have a very accurate gun, and it is quite nice to, it's quite accurate. It'll hit most of the time if you let it aim, which it does aim pretty quick. But I feel like this tank is better as a medium tank in the traditional sense, rather than a sniping medium tank, because you can get kill chains. If you've got some low health tanks with this hybrid autoloader, you can get kill chains, and so I think coated optics is probably going to be more beneficial than Camonet. But if you want to go with Camonet, you can, and go for a sniper build. But for me, I think I'll stick with the regular medium tank Wolfpack type build. And then I'd say enhanced gun lane drive, just get it down a little bit more. Could go with supercharge, which is not a bad idea, so it really is a choice, I would say, between those two. But then when it comes to these two, improved assembly is far superior to enhanced armor for this tank, because improved assembly is going to help, because you'll have better chance of surviving the game with extra hit points, whereas going up to like 80 mil of frontal hull is nothing at tier 7. At tier 4, yes. At tier 7, no. So improved assembly is what you want for that. And then engine accelerator for the buff over everything, including the engine power, and more importantly the power to weight, is a better buff than having a 58 degrees per second hull traverse. The buff over all of mobility is better, in my opinion, for this tank. And then vert stabs, because if you're being a traditional medium you'll want vert stabs because you want the accuracy whilst firing on the move, and also during turning your turret, which is what this tank will be doing, being a regular medium, moving from position to position and circling things and getting kill chains. Vert stabs is going to be better for the extra mobility. However, if you are going for the sniper build, refined gun is going to be better for you for the extra accuracy. But that's only if you're going for a sniping build. And then enhanced tracks or toolbox, it really is a choice for you as to which ones you want there, and the same for these two. So overall, that is it for the stats of the M4 FL10. It's a nice looking tank. I like how it looks. It plays very nice as well. I was skeptical about it when I jumped into my first game. However, after playing it for the first and second game, it's a very good tank. The gun works well. It's a great gun. It's a good gun system. I think it's a hybrid, definitely, in both its nation and its gun, because yeah, it does have elements of single shot and it does have elements of autoloaders, and it works well. They've blended it together. They've had practice with the Italian tanks, no doubt, on PC. So when they came to putting it in Blitz, they had some experience on how to work this thing, and it's worked out very well. It's a very strong tank. It's a very good tank. But it is rather fragile at tier 7. And that's it. It's still a good idea to pick it up, however, because it is a very fun tank and a very good tank to play. So yes, I'll thank you all for watching, and goodbye.